Polls show that Americans are being crushed by Bidenomics. How do y'all feel about that? Because like I say all the time, I don't think what's on paper is cool. A lot of people, they say unemployment is down. It's down. Living expenses is down, all that stuff. And y'all know what I say. It's not what's on paper. I think it's how I feel about it. Like, how I feel about the money I'm spending. And I know this year my raise was not over inflation. I didn't beat inflation on my raise this year by like 1 point. You feel me? So it's like I can feel it a little bit. It ain't that. I don't think it affect me too much. But when I go to that store and I get me a bag, and I get me a cart of groceries, the only reason that I know that prices have went up is literally because of my budget. Like, in my budget, I used to be like, okay, I'm gonna spend $200 to get groceries. Now when I go to the store and one trip costs me $100 for the week, I get to look at like, hold on. What's going on? I done spent a little bit. And of course, my groceries, I do count like cleaning supplies and all that inside of there. So not all of my runs are $100. But when on the first run of the month, because you run out of stuff, it hit $100, I'm like, golly, I'm about to add it up. So now my budget $250 instead of being $200. You feel me? So it has went up. So I feel that in my pockets each month. And that's the thing about, like they said, on paper, everything may seem like it is. Some aspects may seem like it's getting better, but to me, the things that I'm paying for, everything is more expensive. Everything is more expensive. So let's go ahead and get into this video of PBD podcast hasn't done anything. Polls show Americans crushed by Bidenomics ahead of the 2024 election. Let's get into it.
Is the economy as bad as Americans think? Despite experts asserting the U.S. economy's relative strength, with Colorado State University Stephen Weiler highlighting its complexity, stating, the combination of economic indicators is confusing even for economists. A Redfield and Wilton strategist poll reveals 50% of Americans believing the economy is headed in the wrong direction, with 42% reporting a worsened financial situation in the past year. Folks, 50% are saying we're going the wrong direction. 42% are saying it's worse this year than it was last year. That's pretty scary right there, okay? And this is Newsweek. This ain't Fox News. This is not Breitbart. This is Newsweek talking. John Van Reenen from the London School of Economics links the pessimism to lingering inflation effects post-pandemic, emphasizing prices are coming down, but the increase is still fresh in people's memories. Notably, 59% of respondents in the same poll deemed the economy the most critical issue, signaling the significance in the upcoming election. Economically, while inflation persists, March saw a stronger than expected 3.5% rise, contributing to public unease. However, the labor market remains resilient, with March witnessing 303,000 job increase and unemployment dipping to 3.8%. So the question becomes, Tom, when you hear something like this, is the economy as bad as Americans think? What matters more? Showing data to make an argument and spin to say the economy is better than you guys think, or what the consumer actually feels?
Well,
I'm going to answer that first. I'm telling y'all, it's how you feel. It's how you feel, because that's what people are going to vote for. The facts can fact. The facts can facts. But it's like, is that really what's going on? Like, certain things sound good. Certain things definitely sound good. But is that what's really going on? And that's the thing about media. You can pick one thing, you can pick the other thing, and run with it. And it can sound like one of the greatest things or the worst thing, just depending on how you word it. So, for me, it's literally how does the consumer feel? The consumer feels like this brownie or this pizza used to be $5. Now it's $6. That's how they feel. Like, the consumer feels like there used to be $5 foot longs. Now the jingle don't exist no more. That's how the consumer feels. Everything costs more. The consumer feels like the used car market is through the roof. So why even get a used car? I might as well get a new one. That's how the consumer feels. So the consumer feels like the markets are everywhere. As a consumer, that's how I feel. I know that. And that's what I've experienced from just, living every day. Going out, having to buy food. Going out to, you might have to get some clothes. Everything's more expensive. Going out, having to get a new car because your transmission went out. So it's something I've lived for sure.
This is interesting. They ran a poll around something we'll talk about later, buy now, pay later. But there were some things that came out as a result of that polling. When the Americans are saying, there was a follow-up question. Vinny, what's the number one thing to you in the economy? Well, in the election, I got immigration and the economy. Why do you say economy? Because the economy's bad. Well, why do you say it's bad? Because I can't afford things and I'm pinched. That is what the consumer means. When the consumer says the economy, Pat, what they're saying, the polling data show, they're saying my economy, my wallet, my household. That's what they're saying. And the three things that they point to is that there's been a cumulative effect of inflation, but they don't say it that way. They say, I go to the grocery store and I look back 3 years and it's 20% more. That hasn't gone down. Maybe eggs, milk, oil, gas, energy, some commodities have come down, thank goodness. They get some relief. But the overall basket of goods is 20% up since March of 2020 to January 2024. If you ran the common inflation calculators, 20%. Number one. Number two, wage growth is behind inflation. Number three, the labor stats that are touted in the headlines aren't matching what people are feeling because full-time jobs are going away and more people than ever have second jobs, including cash-only side hustles or 1099 side hustles that are not showing up in job reports. So Americans are saying the economy's bad. They're saying my economy's bad, my wallet.
Yep.
Whereas,
and that's what matters, by the way.
That's right. Whereas the mainstream media gets its talking points from the White House. Tell them inflation is coming down. Tell them we blew out the jobs report. Tell them the stock market's up. And by the way, when asked, they all do say, thank goodness my IRA 401k, Pat, the average American gives it credit. The last time I checked, my IRA 401k were okay. So if they have a 401k with work or an IRA with the common indexes and stuff, they've given credit for that, saying, well, thank God the market didn't crash. I saw my retirement balance. But my economy and my household is worse. That's what they mean.
Adam.
Well,
oh yeah, he just spit. What we reviewed the other day? 3 jobs to make $65K? He's not lying. Yeah, they say we unemployed, but you need 3 jobs to make $65K now? That's ridiculous. Yeah, unemployment down. But we just reviewed the other week. You need 3 jobs to make $65K. So, yeah, unemployment might be down, but don't nobody want to work no 3 jobs to make $65K. More than ever, people are having to get a second job, for sure. Because one job just it isn't cutting it. It isn't cutting it. It's tough out here, y'all. It is tough out here. He not lying. It's literally my pockets are pinched. That's how people feeling out here. My pockets are pinched. And I will blame some of it on a lot of people are over leveraged of all get out. All get out. People just over leveraged. You got too many items. You got too much. You got too much of everything. So you can easily downsize a lot of that stuff, and you will feel better about the economy. I think that's what a lot of people need to speak on. Living below your means. It's a lot of things that would ease the way that people feel about it. Because I'm not going to lie. I see prices going up, but it just doesn't affect me as much because I feel like I'm a little bit more responsible with my money, and the things that a lot of people just spend their money on, I don't spend my money on. So it doesn't affect me as much. But yes, I see these prices going up. Yes, when I go to the grocery store, the prices have went up. So that's definitely something that we all realize and we all have felt. So that's just what it is.
Well, look, you kind of did what I typically do, which is more of a personal finance perspective. I'm going to do what you typically do and give more of a macro perspective. I'll say this. Bidenomics has not helped the American people. Bidenomics was supposed to be a bottom-up, from the middle out economic stimulus package to help the economy. Hasn't really done much. Trump was more of a top-down, trickle-down economics, Reagan-esque type of tax cut, which you've talked about, which you parlayed into raises to people in your company, which has worked well. But what's my point? Actually, just check the numbers. We talked about 40% of all money printing was done since 2020. But I actually need to update my stats because it's actually closer to 80%. I think it's close to like almost $19 trillion is circulating in the economy. What's my point? Biden hasn't done shit to help the American people.
Watch your language.
Whoa.
Okay, guys.
Whoa.
Sorry.
It's a little too much, but
Sorry, guys.
I'm going to clip that and make it my favorite ringtone.
There it is. But let's be like, we're so quick to be.
Hold on, yeah, he's bad. He was bad. Hold on, why they say watch your tone like that? Like, he grown. Y'all cannot be telling me watch your tone. You can't say shit. That ain't even the bad one. He's mad. He said Biden ain't did nothing. That man is not playing with him. Not playing.
Binary here, and one side good, one side bad.
Yeah.
If he did this, then he's the good. He's good. He's evil. But the reality is, if you look for the gray, the truth is typically somewhere in the middle of sometimes funny and serious.
if you're gonna put a plug in for Truth Social, just say it.
There
But
it is.
Get to the point.
Here it is.
Like we're.
Well, I know that you guys don't like talking bad about Trump, but here's the deal.
Watch it.
Here's the deal. There's a lot of good things you could say about Trump: immigration, the border, anti-wokeness. What I'll tell you straight up is Trump is no fiscal conservative. He printed as much money as any president ever until Biden showed up. He's like, hold my beer, I'm going to print more. So everything that we're feeling now is not just a Bidenomics thing. Some of the blame must go to Trump. How comfortable are you the fact that Trump printed $2.2 trillion
See, the difference here
in
is
2020?
when you say stuff like that,
Yep.
and in the middle of the podcast, friends text and say, hey, say this and say that and say this and say that. And it's like the cruise, what do you call it? Like if you work for Fox or CNN, someone's telling in your ear,
Producer.
tell them this,
The producer.
tell them that. And we don't have that, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't have that here, but we have friends that text, right?
Yeah.
So you should tell them this, you should tell them this.
Yeah.
Difference is,
I think he's saying that Americanomics is not working right now on all sides. Because he literally just said both sides suck. Both sides suck right now. So this is a combination effort. The economy is a combination effort from both sides. It's two sides of one coin. And the whole coin is going down the slot. The whole coin about to be lost in the drain is what he's saying right now. The American economy sucks right now. I know they like to say it's Bidenomics. They like to say all this stuff. He's telling the truth. Me as a person, I feel both sides suck because it's so polar opposites that you have to go with. Don't nobody want to be polar opposite on all your policies and polar opposite on all your policies. When most people are, like he said, somewhere in the middle. Somewhere between funny and serious on whatever policy you want to feel. I take it on his side. I like what he said. He's not kidding at all. I feel that. The American economy, it's what's in the dirt, and it's fueled from the past. Yes, it's all just coming right on down the road.
I don't want to print any money, whether your name is Trump or Biden, until we start paying off some of our money. Mm-hmm. I'm about firing people that don't need a government job, that should go make it in the free market, which is super hard. The free market is challenging. We have probably 50% of government employees right now that are working for different agencies that we can fire and tell them, go work for a regular job. Not talking military. I'm not talking certain, cops that we need more security for. And the last thing we need to do is firing cops. We need to actually ask cops to please keep your job and recruit more cops to keep their jobs. Every time I see a cop that's out there, I used to only do it with military servicemen. Now if I see a cop, I stop and I say, do you realize how important your job is? I want to say thank you to you because your job matters. Thank you for putting your life on the line. I'm grateful for you. They need to hear it as well, not just them. But we can fire 50% of them. We'd figure out a way to make it work. Sometimes, Adam, when you run in a company, and we've had to make some tough decisions as the CEO of multiple companies that I've run. Sometimes I need to make a tough decision, and the tough decision sucks. It's never fun when you're making a tough decision. It's just not. And you got to fire somebody. And when you have to fire somebody, that feeling when you fire somebody, in the back of your mind, you as a CEO process it from a few different places. Yep. You probably like this person because you've spent some time with them. 2, you're probably, care about their career and you want to make sure they have something to do. And then 3, you also know there's going to be backfiring because people are going to talk and defamation and behind closed doors and spinning up the stories. And really as a CEO, you can't tell the whole story. You especially can't because everyone's watching to see what you do after the way you fire somebody because they're worried about how you're going to fire them one day and they need to be able to feel protected there, right?
Am I being fired?
No, not at all. Dude, if we would have fired you, it would have been 4 years ago, 3 years ago when everybody started saying
Sorry, guys, I'm still here.
But the point is this. Yeah. The point is the government agencies don't believe they can run without the 50% of the people that they have. I'm convinced they can fire half of the people that are working for these government agencies. And within 3, 6, 12 months, everybody would move on. They'd have to give jobs. They'd be forced to realize the way your attitude is matters because government employees sometimes don't have the best attitude. The way you treat people matters. The way you service people matters. All that stuff matters. So, yeah, I am fully with you on spending money left, right, center, no matter what you are. Mm-hmm. I want to stop spending money. Let's get our finances in order, okay? When you're running a company and your marketing department or somebody else comes in and says, hey, let's put $3 million into this. Hey, let's put $2 million into this. I said, until you can tell me how we can sell those items, like even a basic thing that we have upstairs, we need $55,000 worth of new computers, and we can sell the other computers for $27,000. Really? Yeah. Place the order the day you get $27,000 of selling those computers.
Right.
Oh, but that could take 6 weeks. I don't give a shit. Right. You sell the computers, you can buy the computers. But you know how the government rolls? Forget about selling it, buy it anyways. And who's paying for that? We're paying for that. That way of spending money, there is no accountability in there, and you're right. And I don't think it's a left thing. I think it's a left, right, center thing.
I fully agree. And
I'm going to tell y'all the truth. The body follows the head every single time. The way that the government is the way that the American people are. The government's over-leveraged. The American people are over-leveraged. It's literally, all of America is going down horribly right now because the government's over-leveraged. The American people are over-leveraged. It's literally just the body following the head everywhere. And I think that's really the problem right now. That is truly what the problem is, especially for the American people, is they're just following their leadership. You're just following your leadership. Don't have any, they don't want to educate you on anything else. They're going to spend a whole bunch of money on a whole bunch of stuff. Some of it matters, yes. Some of it can be, dialed back a little bit. Some of it can be dialed back a little bit. But literally, the government is over-leveraged, and you're over-leveraged at home. Because that's not what's important to the head. That's not what is important to leadership. So America's in $1 trillion of debt, and you personally, you're in $1,000 of debt. Everybody's just in debt. Everybody's going downhill. Everyone's over leveraged. It just is what it is. And that's what the economy is right now. Spending money on things that you can't afford. And what the government gonna do, just tax you on the back end. If you okay with being in debt, swimming in debt, barely being able to stay afloat, the government, just know they are as well. They just gonna go print more money. They just gonna print it out of thin air. You feel me? We just gonna create more. It's okay. I think from that you can learn. Being over leveraged is not it. Eventually you're gonna have to feel that. Eventually you're gonna feel it. That just is what it is.
It's because when you're not the one that's actually paying for it, when Congress is
We're paying for
sure,
it. Yeah.
$1 trillion
That's
here,
right.
$1 trillion here,
Yeah.
raise the taxes, there's no accountability.
That's right.
Both sides. This is why they call it the uniparty.
So if you like this,
And that's what it feels like, a uniparty. Like I said, it feels like two sides of one coin. American economic policies suck at this point. We spending too much money. Everyone's over leveraged. The government's over leveraged. We gonna have to feel it some way, somehow, sooner or later. That just is what it is. We gonna have to feel it some way, somehow, sooner or later. So either you get on the right side financially, or you gonna be on the wrong side, and that is having a whole bunch of debt, having to pay stuff back. You never really owning anything. If something go down, it's getting took. You're gonna be getting a whole bunch of repossessions, a whole bunch of foreclosures, evictions, all that stuff. Stop paying for vacations on your credit card. Hey. Stop paying for stuff with your credit card that you can't afford. We all need to follow some better money principles. And it needs to start with that government for sure. Because being that much in debt, I don't know who are we in debt to? Who are the American people in debt to? I think that's a great question to ask as well. But anyway, if you would, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment.